intro week, keeping the weight light. We're going for muscle ups today, 3x3, keeping it nice and easy, getting the body back used to movement. We got Prozis liquid chalk going down right now, get our grip game going so we're locked in for these lifts. Let's go. So as I said, it is an intro week. Welcome back to another video. We took about a week and a half off from training after we finished up at the 2024 USA Streetlifting National Championships, where we went in, we took the win. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. We placed first in the -73 category. We set 3 national records, and we're currently the pound for pound national champion. And so what that means is that I was the strongest lifter in that competition when you take into account my body weight versus the weight that I moved in that competition. So we did well. We definitely showed up. We clutched under pressure. We really took care of business. I wasn't nervous at all throughout the entire competition, which is awesome. It's just a testament to how prepared and how mentally locked in I was. So here we are back in intro week. We're getting ready to get back into the grind once again. So we're keeping the weight light, and I just want to kind of talk through a couple things. Let's talk about how I did in the competition. Let's talk about what's been going on in the time that I have been off and getting back into my normal training schedule. And then we're gonna also talk about what's next, because I think we do have some pretty exciting stuff that's on the way. So let's keep going. I have another set of muscle ups to do, and then we're gonna keep chatting. So let's start out by analyzing my competition performance. I'm going to overlay the actual video that I posted to YouTube from the competition. If you haven't watched it already, I will probably put a link somewhere on the screen, so definitely go check that out. So as you know, with street lifting, there are 4 separate disciplines that you're competing with, the first of which is muscle ups. So let's talk about how we did. We weighed in at 71.4 kg, which is 157 pounds. I don't remember the last time I was 157 pounds, but to my delight, we actually did great. Like the weight moved exactly as it did in training on the day of at my lightest weight, and so that's really good to see. Very happy about that. So first attempt was 12.5 kg. I was just a little bit concerned about getting the cues right, but we stayed locked in and we got that rep. It was easy. No issues whatsoever on that rep. A note on what I experienced when it came to the actual setup. It felt a little bit tight inside of the competition rack that we were using, and I had to decide between the full-size box and the step up. Wasn't really able to get a very good swing from either of them. The lower of the 2 boxes is what I ended up going with. It wasn't great. It did the job, but I think that's definitely some place that we can improve. If anything, maybe it's an improvement that needs to be made on my end, such that I am able to do a very clean muscle up without very much swing at all, and so that probably will make a difference for me. So moving on to attempt number 2. Attempt number 2 is 16.25 kg, which is 35.8 pounds. We got that one, no problem whatsoever. Moved exactly as it did in training, if not a little bit better, which I was happy about. We got 3 white flags, good to go on to our final attempt. Final attempt was going to be 20 kg, and wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to get it. Everything felt good, pulling was great, and we did the pull, and my hand slipped forward. So what happened was that I didn't re-grip my hand onto the bar in time, and so I ended up being misaligned with my hands when I got to the top of the rep. I did have the height that I needed to get the 20 kg muscle up, and it would have been easy, to be honest, which is very disappointing. But one of the things that I kept in mind is that after missing that rep, the name of the game was really just short-term memory, move on from there, forget about everything that happened before it, and just focus on the following 3 lifts. And so that's exactly what we did. So we're gonna get another set in, and we're gonna keep going. On the chin-ups, let's see what we got. We ran into a slight issue with chin-ups where I underestimated the amount of time that I actually had to warm up for the movement itself. So usually I like to go body weight, 45 pounds, 90 pounds, 135 pounds, and then go up to my top set. Top set was going to be at 73.25, which is 162 pounds. And so that usually moves pretty easily, and it actually did. So we got in there, we were slightly rushed. Watching it right now. So we just have to get locked in. Went for it, got the pull. Slightly more hip protrusion or posterior pelvic tilt slightly than I wanted to. That's generally the way that I lift, but I think if I think about it too much, then what happens is that I end up sort of pushing forward and it looks very pronounced. So I got a warning about that, which is all good. We were able to sort of correct that in the remaining attempts, but we got a good attempt for 162. It was easy. We're chilling after just getting started. We dropped weight on our second attempt. I wanted to go 77 kg, but then we ended up having to go 76.25. What happened was that I didn't hear my name called because I was in the back waiting for someone to tell me that it was time for me to come out. Shout out to Miguel. But he didn't hear for some reason that my name was called, and so they come in and tell me, hey, like you have like 20 seconds left, so I have to run out onto the platform and try to get this lifted before the time is actually over. And there was a crazy rush, so we dropped weight, but we were able to get it. This was 168 pounds. We knocked it out. Form was better on this one, no problem at all. 3 white flags, we're good to go. And now I can tell you that definitely got the adrenaline going. And from there, we had to pretty much decide what we wanted to do next. So 80 kg was definitely on our radar for the day, and that's what we wanted to finish with. So we had 80 kg as our final attempt. Another easy set. Everything's supposed to be pretty much easy for the most part right now. Anyways, as I was saying, we went 80 kg for the final attempt. And then at this point, we wanted to just try and get hyped. So here we are. Let's take a look at how 80 kg is going. Tried to get as much overgrip as I possibly could. We had good speed out of the bottom, and we were so close, man. We were so close, and I just couldn't close that rep. Didn't have it. Just wasn't there in the day, which is all good. I know we're gonna come back and we're gonna hit 80 kg pretty soon. To be honest, that's really just an indication of how much progress I've made with my chin-ups over, I don't know what, like 12 to 14 weeks. 165 being my max, and we added almost another 10 pounds within that 12 weeks to my max. And so honestly, like, hey, can't complain about that. We have a lot of work that we're gonna put into pulls in this next chapter of my street lifting journey. Gonna become, like, honestly, at the end of the day, goal is to become one of the most dominant pullers in the US, and that's we're gonna make it happen. At the end of the day, I don't think that I've fallen short of any of the things that I've said so far, because at the end of the day, it's just a matter of how hard I'm willing to work and the commitment that is required to be able to get there. And so we're gonna make it happen, no worries at all. So that was the end of chin-ups. We went 2 for 3 on that and ended with a 76.25, which ended up being the chin-up record for my weight class. So good stuff. Now moving on to the next discipline. Next we have wide pull-ups for 4 sets of 8. Intro weeks, all about volume at the end of the day, so we keep it easy. All right, so now moving on to discipline number 3, which is the weighted dip. And this is definitely one of the more anticipated lifts for myself, just because I really fell through in the classic back in December, and I really needed to see how much progress I could possibly make on the dips from then till now. And so things really picked up. I was able to figure out a couple cues for dips that have worked really well for me. And so I went in feeling pretty confident, knowing that I was going to be able to knock down the weight that we set up. And so in my previous competition back in December, my attempt number 3, which was a YOLO attempt for me, was 95 kg. 95 kg is what I opened with in this competition. And so let's take a look back at that shot right now and see how it looked. We blew up 95. 95 looks like 95 kg, which is 209 pounds, looked like an absolute joke. And everything was good until they called me on hip depth, saying that my hips were not low enough. And so that was pretty frustrating, and I had to sort of change my strategy going into the next lift. So attempt 2 was 100 kg, and as the weight gets higher, the depth of the dip makes a big difference. So every millimeter of depth you go beneath parallel or 90 degrees in your dip, it gets significantly harder to make it out of that dip, right? And so then the idea is, when we're going for max weight, we only want to go as deep as we need to. And now that I got that hip depth call, I had to sort of change the strategy for my second attempt. So for 100, I just decided I was gonna bury it. So we go in, get ready for 100. Hit this several times. We bury 100. And it was a little bit slower than I wanted it to be. This was not the fastest 100 that I've hit. It was a very strong 100. I wasn't nervous or scared that I was not gonna get the rep at any point in time. It was literally just about trying to get off that bar as quickly as possible so I could conserve energy for the following rep. So 100 was good. They didn't call me on hip depth this second time, and so we had to figure out from there what we were gonna go for next. And so the issue was that now, knowing the hip depth issue, I was now more tempted to go deeper on the reps. And so now here we have 105 kg, and I went too deep on 105. And so we sort of got pinned. I got to a point in where I was just stuck, tried to open up the chest, wasn't enough to get me there, so we missed 105 kg. And so we ended up with 100 kg, which is 220 pounds, which is what we had on the day. And to be honest, like, that's okay. We hit 225 in training, and so to be 5 pounds off of that, I mean, that's a little disappointing to be able to hit what I hit in training, but just because of the jumps that we wanted to take, it just wouldn't have made any sense to take such a tiny jump from that 100 kg that we hit. We took what we could on the day, and dips, honestly, from the warm-ups throughout everything that we did, probably felt the strongest that they have. And again, 157 pounds body weight is the lowest that I've ever hit 100 kg in any sort of setting for dips at all. And so that's definitely something that I have to be proud of. So it's good stuff. It out. So at this point, finishing dips is where things got very interesting. So my competitor that was in first place at this time only had a 2.5 kg lead on me going into squats, and I already knew that I had a significantly heavier squat than him. So at the end of the day, this competition was never about beating the athletes that were there. I wanted to set the highest total, and I wanted to beat my own personal training total. Unfortunately, as you saw in the actual video, we were not able to do that, and we came just shy of being able to beat our training total, which is all good because we still had a very significant lead on the competition. Anyways, at this point, as I was mentioning, we were going into squats. I took plenty of time to warm up for squats, just knowing that I had quite a few warm-up reps or sets that I needed to do in order to be able to be successful here. And so started warming up, and one of the issues that I ran into is that I think either like low blood sugar or dehydration, or both, to be honest, started catching up with me at this point in the day, because we came in dehydrated. I knocked down 1 bottle of Pedialyte, which definitely probably wasn't enough, and we were on to the second bottle, made it about halfway through that one. At this point in the day, having gone through the first 3 lifts, it was really starting to catch up with me. And so as I started warming up, I started feeling a little bit dizzy, wasn't feeling very comfortable with the squats. And unfortunately, with squats, it's the most amount of weight in the day that I'm actually moving. And so started getting me a little bit nervous, but we knew we only needed 1 attempt, which was our first attempt of 190 kg, to be able to take the win in this competition. And so, hey, we got it together. We just decided, if anything, we're just gonna go all out for this first attempt at 190, and we'll see how it goes. We just needed it and to win the comp, and then after that, nothing else really mattered. So here we go, let's look at this. So boom, 190 moved like no problem at all. There were no issues, the form was good. We got 3 white flags, and so at this point in time, we had taken the competition with the win. But that's not what we wanted. We wanted pound for pound. So felt better after doing that 190, which is kind of funny because I was feeling not too well during the warm-ups, but after 190, I was good to go. So we went for 200 kg, which is essentially my training PR. I hit 201, but I mean, 1 kg is fairly negligible. So we went 200 kg. Let's take a look at this, and boom. That was the fastest 200 kg I have ever hit. I was so proud of that squat, and I was hyped. We set the squat record for the minus 73 kg weight class with that squat right there. And I think, to be honest, I don't really know who's gonna touch that, because that was significantly higher than all of the other squats that day. And it's really something that I'm gonna knock down, because one of the things I've been talking about is hitting that 500-pound squat as a minus 73. And to be honest, we're probably on track to knocking that down by the end of 2024. So be on the lookout for that, because it's gonna get very, very interesting. So we knocked out that 200 kg, felt good about that. Definitely was fatigued in the body, but I felt like it was possible for us to bump up a little higher. So instead of calling our final rep, we decided to go for 205, tried to get the crowd a little bit hyped. I was getting hyped. We went in there and we went for 205. So let's take a look at how 205 went. So we were strong on the dismount from the bar. Lineup felt good, all of that stuff. And really what happened is I think I just went too deep. I didn't have it in me. So we got to the bottom and we just got stuck. We dumped it, but still felt good because that would have been an absolute PR. So that was the first time putting 205 kg, which is I think 453 pounds, somewhere around there, 453 pounds on my back. And so definitely cannot be mad at that. So we ended the day with pound for pound champion of minus 73 kg, first place there as well. We had an RIS score of 89, which is actually pretty decent for my first all four competition. We had the opportunity to go 90 plus, and just a couple little mistakes throughout the day and poor execution on my end was one of the reasons why we slightly missed that, and that's something that we'll work on. And so from there we have the squat record for minus 73, and I think the second highest squat of the day in general. We have the chin up record for minus 73, and we have the muscle up record for minus 73. So to be honest, we ended the day on a pretty high note, which was good. We got to watch some of my teammates compete. Shout out to Miguel, shout out to Brian. Brian placed first in the 80s. Miguel had second place finish in the 87 kg. And so everyone on the team for Team Gains had a very strong performance, and that's something that we can be super proud of. So I guess it's time for us to talk about what is next. It's kind of funny, my lats and my chest and my triceps, like I guess all of my upper body pretty much healed up maybe over the weekend after the competition, or maybe 1 or 2 days afterwards, but my legs, whew, they've been shot for a while. So to be honest, there are plenty of things to really cover here, and I guess we can just start with this weekend. So as I mentioned, we took a week and a half off of training, and we just got back into our intro week, which was this past Thursday. Missed Friday, and I wanted to train on Saturday, but I didn't have the chance to, unfortunately. We just got really busy. I was down in Charlottesville, Virginia for this 5K race to support the veterans, where Project 1% was a vendor. So check out some of the footage from that right here. And so we just got back into town over this past weekend. Definitely tired. Knocked out a training session yesterday. And now today, Monday, we are back at it, trying to just get things back together as we want. And so I guess there are a couple categories that we can toss this into. So we have Project 1% and the moves that we're going to be making with Project 1%, which is the company, the self-improvement movement company that I co-founded with Gus. And you've seen us put out a bunch of content on this channel, as well as the social medias for Project 1% with everything that we're doing. And so the launch happened during week 12, which was the heaviest week of our prep for this competition. So it was great to be able to see that process of launching the company while also competing at the highest level for this competition, and then coming out on top and winning that as well. And so with Project 1%, we're trying to move now forward into the community aspect. And so we're going to start having a lot more meetups. We're going to have a lot more team or group workouts that we're doing with people out in the community who want to come hang out with us and just get better today. And that's honestly the goal where that is. And so we have some planning that we're going to do, but I'm going to continue to make sure to update and to show pretty much this whole process of what we're doing and how we build out this company, because I think it's really awesome to be able to document that experience. And so outside of that, now we can talk about our actual training for street lifting. So at the end of the day, I feel like street lifting has almost become an addiction, in the sense that now I am just completely committed to this sport, and this is a sport that I want to spend a significant amount of time in. We do have reps and sets and statics and all of that, and I was doing a lot of statics before we started working on street lifting, but the core of my training was strength in itself, which helped me to really have a smooth transition into street lifting. So I honestly don't care that much about statics anymore or about reps and sets. Statics is definitely cool, and I'll be able to maintain strength to be able to do some of the moves like handstand push-ups and the front lever, but we are going to focus most of our effort on making sure that we remain the best in the US and prepping to compete against the Europeans. It actually feels good to get back to a little bit of volume for dips, because throughout most of my training period, because I was having issues with form, most of our sets consisted of single reps with short rest periods. So for example, I would have a set of 3, except it would be 3 singles for the one set with maybe 1 minute to 2 minutes of rest in between. And so now that we can get back to some more reps, and now that my form is a little bit better with dips as well, we can definitely see how the volume is going to help to build up my dips. And I think that's definitely one thing that's big for me. I did mention a little bit earlier in this video that one of my goals is to become the most dominant puller in America, and we can definitely do that. To me, dips are a movement that I definitely need to build, but I don't care about dips as much as I care about getting a stronger muscle up and a super strong chin up. So at the end of the day, I guess a couple goals right now that are sort of in the air, and they're not super set in stone right now, but to be honest, like, we are officially on the road to the 100 kg chin up. And right now, pulling 100 kg is still anyone's game in USA Streetlifting right now, because no one has yet to do it between the pull up or the chin up. There is, Miguel's probably the other person who's the closest to it right now, and he wasn't able to do it in this past competition. So it's still an open door. There's a chance for me to be able to knock it down. The next competition for USA Streetlifting that's in all 4 is gonna be next year, so I have plenty of time to prepare for that. Will I hit 100 kg chin up by next year? I'm not entirely sure, but what I can tell you is that I'm pretty confident that we should be getting up to around like the 90 kg range by towards the end of 2024. So I would say probably for the end of this year, if I can pull 90 kg and a chin up, that would be a solid goal for me to hit. I want to start working towards getting around a 120 kg dip. I think I'd be pretty comfortable with being able to compete the next time, having like a very solid 100 kg dip. And to be honest, it's possible that dips might actually increase from where they are right now. Dips can blow up any day as we build up our bench, as we build up whatever other accessories that we're going to work on. So I'd say 120 kg dip is pretty reasonable. We need to get muscle ups together, and so I have a 20 kg muscle up. I think 25 kg is definitely next on the radar. We're going to be pushing muscle ups fairly hard, so definitely look out for some muscle ups PR on the way. 30 kg muscle up, I think, is probably a very solid goal to work towards for the next, to be honest, the next 6 to 7 months. If we can hit a 30 kg muscle up by the end of this year, I think that would be a pretty reasonable number to hit. So let's call it 90 kg chin up, 30 kg muscle up, 120 kg dip is pretty solid. And I don't know how long that's going to take. It's hard to say if the next 6 months is going to be enough to be able to build up to that. Right now I'm at about a little under 105, say call it 102, 102.5. And so to add another 15 kg onto dips is work, but I mean, we're here to put in work, so we'll see what happens with that. And then for squats, we already have the most dominant squat in our weight class, and for relatively speaking, pound for pound, squats definitely up there as well. But if I'm going to have a very dominant total that I'm going to be able to take beyond the US, I'm going to need a very strong squat. And so, as I was mentioning, 500 squat is coming by the end of the year, and that is about 227.5 kg. So we're going to put about 27.5 kg on the squat by the end of the year. I think it's totally possible, because the amount of progress that we were able to make in the 12 weeks of training squats to get all the way up to 445 after having not squatted for 3 years is absolutely crazy. So 500 is on the way. So we got some pretty strong numbers that are going to be coming up, and we have quite a bit of time in the off season that we're going to be able to train. I don't think I'm going to be competing for another 6 to 7 months. At the end of the day, one of the biggest things we need right now are people who are willing to volunteer, people who are willing to put in work for the organization that doesn't involve them actually competing, because we literally just need hands on deck and people that are willing to just come in and load the weights, people that are willing to spot, people that are willing to be commentators and collect data and all of this stuff. And that is really what's going to help us to build a robust organization. So we're going to keep working towards that 100% and encourage people to just really become a part of the street lifting community. And just like powerlifting, that volunteering aspect is truly just such an important part that we really have to push day in and day out. So this really is the beginning of chapter 2 of my street lifting journey. I kind of thought of chapter 1 as my first competition, but I think we'll change that to chapter 1 being me becoming the champion of the US pound for pound. So that's the end of chapter 1. On to chapter 2. Chapter 2, now we turn our sights towards the World Championship, which is final rep. That's held in Germany. That's going to be 2025, towards the end of the year, so maybe like November, September 2025. And so there's quite a bit of time to prepare, and that's exactly what we need, because we have so much improvement that we need to make. My performance at this competition back a few weeks ago at the USA Streetlifting Championship was okay at best. Honestly, pretty disappointed overall. We definitely did what we needed to do to become the top here, but to me, that's just far from what we need in actuality. And so we have a lot of work to be done. The next competition in the US that I plan to go for is going to be the regional qualifiers, which will qualify me to compete in final rep Worlds in 2025. We're looking probably the next 6 to 7 months of preparation, and then that's going to be an excellent test for us to really see where we are and the progress that we've made over the past couple months. So then we'll go on, we'll do regional qualifiers, and then from there we should have one more USA Streetlifting National Championship before we go on to Germany. So I'll have a solid 2, all 4 competitions to be able to get under my belt before we actually attack the World Championship. And so there's a whole lot of work to do, but I'm excited. We're going to see so much progress over the next couple months, and it is going to be insane. So definitely stay tuned and follow that journey, because hey, we got some big goals that we're going to hit, and we did exactly what we said we were going to do. We became champion, we put in the work, we stayed consistent, and I'm just going to do that same thing again, but we're going to do it a whole lot better this time. So that's going to be a wrap on this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. If you have stuck with me to this point, we started posting YouTube videos at the beginning of the year, and here we are, having gone through all of the challenges that we did. We hit every single one of the goals, or we hit the goal that we wanted to, which was becoming the national champion and winning this competition. Here we are as pound for pound champion with a whole lot that is ahead. Truly, this is just the beginning of the journey, and so I know that I have a lot more work to do. So this is the beginning of chapter 2, and so we need to think of a new series. It's probably going to be like Road to whatever, maybe Road to Worlds. We are going to keep working harder and harder at that. I think I'm going to start coaching for street lifting as well. So definitely looking to work with some beginners that are coming into the sport, especially to prepare some people for the August Classic. So if you are interested in being coached by me, feel free to shoot me a message. You can drop a comment. We'll just get connected. As a matter of fact, if you shoot me a DM on Instagram, that is the best way that you can reach me. So definitely do that. You stuck this far into the video, I do truly appreciate it. Definitely use my code link10 on ProZiz if you want to support me and get some discounts on the stuff that they got on there. Hop on to pro1cent.com, grab some Project 1% merch, support the movement that we're doing, and show up to our meetups and all of that stuff. I'll keep you all updated on exactly what we are doing with that. And so that is all for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things, and that's it for me. Don't forget to dare to be great, and I'll see you in the next video.